Hey, she, how you doing there? Hey, why are you wearing that shirt again? That's what it's like living in Osaka. Not really. Hey guys, this is Evan from Gokadu, and today I thought I would talk a little bit about my experiences living in Osaka and Tokyo and kind of comparing the two. Um, I've been in Japan for about 10 years, but I have lived in both cities for about 5 years each at this point, so I think it's kind of like a good time for me to compare a little bit here. So going off my Snidely Whiplash impression there at the beginning, what is the difference between Osaka and Tokyo? Well, I think generally, like, there's in Tokyo, I would describe the feeling of the city as being segmented and more exclusive depending on what you're trying to do. Like, there's specific areas in Tokyo for everything, like good example, the Akihabara, it's the anime area, it's the weeb area, right? And you have Shibuya, which is like the drinking area for like college students, then you have Shinjuku, which is like the drinking area for working people, and then you have Ueno is like the family area with the zoo and everything, and Asakusa is like Sensoji, and there's like the famous temples there, and so on and so on and so on. And so you kind of have like these segmented areas in Tokyo more, and I don't know, I think it leads to a lot of the problems in Tokyo. I do like Tokyo, I like living here, but one of the things I don't like is riding the train, and you spend a lot of time doing that because actually Tokyo is a very, very wide, spread out city with like disparate areas. So if you want to go do this thing, you can do it anywhere. But if you want to go do like the thing that you want to go do, you might be on the train for 50 minutes or more within this. And that's something that kind of annoys me a little bit about living here. I'm going to be real. At the same time, though, there's everything in Tokyo. There's always some new, like, local place to try, or, along with local places, there's like ancient shrines, and then there's people coming from abroad. There's Eric Clapton coming again in April, and I'm going to go see Gary Clark Jr. I'm really excited for that. Get to see these really huge international acts and global culture, and then also enjoy the local culture, and that's one of the coolest things about Tokyo. But also, it's just like this never-ending commute. Whenever, no matter what you're doing, it always feels like you're like traveling somewhere, and it's a complete opposite side of the city. And that's cool, but it also like it can feel a little bit like you're at an arcade or something. I don't know how to describe it, but it doesn't really feel like as organic as my experience was in Osaka, which I think in Osaka kind of has like a different problem, I think, where everybody in Osaka, people living in Kyoto, people living in Kobe, that area in Kansai, they all go to Umeda to do stuff. Everybody, three cities goes to the same station to go do things, to hang out, to go get food with their friends, nightlife, concerts, whatever. There's a little bit more spread out, but like I remember being really annoyed by this though, because actually I don't know how it is now because there's like so many tourists here now. But like in 2018, 2019, and then I came to Tokyo, I actually felt like Osaka was more crowded than Tokyo was in certain areas because all of the things that people want to do are in the same area. Like everything is in Umeda, everything is in Dotonbori, in Namba, the specific areas. There's like two or three stations where everybody goes in Osaka. And then people living in Kyoto, if they want to like actually go out and like do something like a nightlife kind of thing, they're going to come to Osaka. Kobe, you can kind of like decide like the level, like what you want to do. It's like, I'm a musician, so I always like Kobe is more jazz, Osaka is more rock, blues, and then Kyoto is classical music, right? But so like you can kind of like if you're living in Kobe, you can still like do stuff out, but like people come to Umeda a lot of the time. So I just remember being really annoyed by this because like you get to the station, and like everybody's meeting in the same place. If you've lived in Osaka, everybody meets in front of the Bigumon, which is this like giant, well, it's not really giant, but it's this big screen that's in the station. I don't know why everybody chooses to meet here. But it's like, if you're a foreigner and you're trying to meet your Japanese friends there, it's like, where's Waldo for real? Like, you're trying to find a Japanese person and a crowd of Japanese people all standing in front of the screen, usually in black or whatever. And it's like, I had so many experiences there where I couldn't find what I was looking for, and they instantly, spotted me, and it was always embarrassing because I could never mentally prepare for that. But that's kind of the feeling of Osaka is that like you have these really, really central areas, but then there's a ton of local stuff around that. But the local stuff is really cool, and I also really like Dotonbori, Shinsaibashi, and I lived in Tennoji for a while, which isn't like nearly as popular, but I think it's underrated. That's where Suitenkaku is. There's a lot of drinking areas in there. There's the tallest building in Osaka, the oldest Buddhist temple, not shrine, oldest Buddhist temple in Osaka. I think in Japan is there as well. But it's like a really weird area there. You have like I always say, you have like the shopping mall, but then you have the seedy drinking alley like right next to it. It was just really weird living there, especially in 2015 because they were renovating a lot of the family areas. So like kind of the Yakuza stuff took over. And at that time, it was a big thing in Japan that like in those areas of South Osaka, everybody was doing aruki tabako, which basically means like walking while you're smoking. But like they would hold it out, like you hold your cigarette down, and there'd be like I'd see like little kids like with cigarettes in their face and shit while people are walking, and it's just weird. There's like this family friendly area, but then there's like I used to see regular yakuza meetings, and there's like all these love hotels lined up there in front of the family friendly mall and stuff, and then there'd be like mascots dancing around in front of the love hotels and in front of the yakuza meeting spots. And then there'd be like the rich people like in the 50th floor overlooking all of it. Like it's a really weird area, but that area is like that's very Osaka, and I kind of miss that a little bit. Like Tokyo has everything, but it's a little bit more like cleaned up, you know it's a little bit more like vanilla, I would say, than Osaka is, and I kind of miss those weird local experiences. Or just like it was so fun to people watch in like South Osaka, right? But it's probably better to live outside of that area. But I don't know. I enjoyed it though. As an experience, I could say going to Tennoji or those areas in Osaka or even Namba or Dotonbori, it was fun and it's a really interesting experience. And I'm glad I started there, I think, and not in Tokyo, even though I like Tokyo. Um, but yeah, also like the culture, like just the culture of like how people interact with each other. I think it gets a little overblown. Like people act like Osaka is like, everyone's super outgoing in Osaka and everyone's really cold in Tokyo. And it's like, on the Japanese scale of things, that's true. But I still think like the average person from Osaka is like 10 levels lower, like in terms of being outgoing than the average person from like your most Western countries, or at least, I don't know, the US, Canada. So it's not like I wouldn't say people. Well, maybe people are friendly, but there's still like certain things where it's like it's still rare to see people hold hands and stuff in Osaka and things like that. It's like it's not like super open emotionally. It's just, but there are certain things where there's like a culture in Osaka of they have poke and skomi, which is like it's like a comedy culture. There's a type of comedy in Osaka called manzai, which is like you have one person who's like the straight man, you have one person who's like the crazy person, whatever, and then they kind of play off each other, kind of like Abbott and Costello or like something like that, or I don't even Penn and Teller. I don't know, like comedy duo, Dumb and Dumber, just kind of two people and they play off each other like that. But that kind of like you see that in like conversations too, where people will like they kind of like make fun of each other a lot and they'll like kind of put on a show for like the rest of the people at the table, like they're like pretending to fight, which is like funny, but also like to be honest, it kind of annoyed me a little bit after being there for 5 years. I got a little like I just wanted to talk, I'm like, can we just talk? And it's like I mean, like my two friends are like, hey, why'd you wear that shirt again? Like I said at the beginning of the video, hey, I wear that shirt again. You always wear blue every day. Hey, yo, you wise guy. Like it just feels like it's like some 1950s it's like 12 Angry Men or something to me. Like and it's funny, but like I kind of like after a while I'm like, what'd you guys do recently? Like we just talk, like I got a little tired of it. But I also loved it though. I mean, it was great just going in places and just trying to talk to the people who are running like restaurants or just it was so fun to meet people. And at that time it was good because I had a smartphone, but like it wasn't like quite as like right now there's so many tourists in Tokyo because the yen is so cheap. COVID just ended, and like, you know, if I go into certain places, like people are a little hesitant, you know, the more hesitant, it's a different kind of hesitancy where it's like they're like annoyed because they had some bad experience with another tourist like a month ago or something. Whereas in Osaka at that time when I was living, it was more of like, oh shit, I've never talked to a foreigner before, or like, oh god, like can you speak Japanese? But like in Tokyo now, it's like, you know, depending on where you go, I feel like it's like, oh god, here's a foreigner. But like when I speak Japanese, they'd be like, oh, okay, and they let me in. But like, you have to get over, you know, I get a little tired now, like dealing with that, where like I gotta like get through that initial barrier of like, oh shit, this guy's gonna ruin my restaurant or whatever, and I gotta like calm him down, right? But I kind of get it at the same time though, because there are a lot of. I mean, I just watched the video of that Johnny Somali guy in Korea he was in Japan and he's just he's just a fucking idiot. He's just causing a bunch of fucking problems and making a YouTube career out of it in every Asian country. And yeah, there's people like that. So yeah, obviously Logan Paul and all that shit too. So I kind of get it, but yeah, it's a different flavor, I guess, of like, you know, being a foreigner. So that's part of it too. I don't know. Maybe I would feel differently if I was living in Osaka right now too. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously it also depends on what you're doing. I mean, like if you're trying to like do something business related, you want to be in Tokyo, I think. I think that Osaka is kind of a bad place to be actually for work because it's not that much cheaper than Tokyo, but it's not Tokyo. And the way it works in Japan is like 95% of people when they graduate from university, they move to Tokyo. That's just the way the working system like works here. Like you go and you get trained in Tokyo. Now a lot of people get transferred to other places and they choose to leave. They request to leave Tokyo, but you start in Tokyo. So all of the new like major business things that are happening in Japan, like most of them are in Tokyo, right? So it's pretty important to be here, I think, if you're trying to do something like with work. And I think, oh yeah, Osaka is like, it's just a little bit cheaper, but there's like not nearly as many opportunities, and it's kind of a shame. Whereas I think like if you were considering moving somewhere like, I don't know, like maybe Sendai or Fukuoka, it's like you'll be much, much cheaper, you know, and you could still try to find that local scene there or something. And it's hard to find that balance in Osaka. I think it's a little bit too pricey for what it is if you're just like considering like the opportunities. But as far as living there, though, I would definitely recommend if you're considering like doing a language exchange or a language exchange, exchange program, or going to a language school, I would recommend doing Osaka. I think it's a great choice. And I think Tokyo is great too, but I think maybe it's good to move somewhere outside of Tokyo first, live there for a while, then you can compare. Because it's hard to leave Tokyo once you come here, and I kind of feel that way. I'm like, it's just like so many important people here. Like I'm trying to do, you know, work stuff now. It's like it would be stupid for me to not stay here, especially considering how expensive it is to move in Japan. So, yeah, I always like kind of toy with the idea of moving to Fukuoka or something, but it's like I don't know. I mean, I also like I have all my friends here now, and there's like a lot of opportunities here, and it's hard to leave. So, but yeah, I would recommend going somewhere outside of Tokyo first, then maybe go to Tokyo. And you probably will end up in Tokyo eventually. So, yeah, just kind of some of my thoughts on some of those differences. Sorry if I was rocking back and forth too much. I just realized I was doing that. But yeah, I make a lot of these videos just talking about my life here in Japan. I'm going to be making more videos in the future. So if you guys enjoyed it, please consider supporting me by subscribing or not. That's okay. I appreciate your time and thanks for watching. Have a great day or night wherever you are. Okay, see you guys. Bye.